Bueno, buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, James. Yes, good afternoon. Yes, always a little nervous. I have to tell you that he speaks great Spanish. No.
Pero voy a hablar.
No, it's not true. I'm gonna speak English because we have the interpreters, so it's easier for me. And also, I'm a little high. Frenadol. So, well, that makes you sleepy, doesn't it? No. I'm not gonna let you fall asleep. No, but, well, if I speak being high on Frenadol, it's gonna be a little difficult in Spanish. Well, your Spanish is much better than my English, so I'll speak in Spanish and you'll speak English, okay? Well, it's actually it's amazing how fast he learns Spanish, how he's progressing. I'm so lucky that you invited me here to be with you today, having such a special interview. But there's a word in English that I really like, grilling. What does it mean? And well, in Spanish, there's not just one word. It's a kind of interview which is very aggressive, very wild, and we agreed that this is going to be a grilling, right? For me, it's a little weird that you're not in Barcelona right now. Well, yes, I came out from TV to be here, but it's worth it. It was really the opportunity. It was a good chance. So you are presenting this book, which is classical music addressed, targeted at the youth. How are you going to convince people to read a book on paper to millennials? Well, it is difficult because classical music is a difficult world, and it's full of assholes, actually. It is a weird context, and I hope that this book is going to be like a trampoline, a platform where we can jump to a new world.
If you go on Spotify and you look at Beethoven Symphony No. 5, they're like 1,000 recordings.
Yeah.
So how do you know which one to start with? And so this is a book, it's like a gentle guide to discover more. And I wanted it to look really cool. And I think it does. It looks like a kind of Sgt. Pepper's Beatles album. And it's got amazing drawings and lovely stories about the composers. Because these composers they were very human. They had amazing stories. They were like the kind of rock stars of their age. You know, Beethoven and Bach and Chopin, they were like the Mick Jagger and the Calamaro and the Serrat of their time, and we don't know that. We think they're like gods, but they're not. They were very human.
Es muy impactante también. Vamos a ir ahora al...
It is also very important. We're going to talk about the content. You've chosen 7 authors, but also the illustration, the cover. You combine real images with different bodies.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I think it's a nice thing to do, to have una mezcla.
A combination, right?
For me, is the playlist that goes with it. The book is quite expensive, so it's un poco caro. So you don't need to buy
this.
You can listen to the playlist for free on Spotify, and that's my publishers will kill me, but
No, que compren el libro y pongan la playlist.
No, let's have them buy the book and listen to the playlist, right? Both. Well, yes, in a perfect world, of course, but
and sitting with your kids and reading about Bach and Pau Casals and listening to him play the cello just for 15 minutes. To me, that's such a lovely thing to do instead of watching Gran Hermano or Salvame or seeing Rafa Mora talking about whatever the fuck he talks about. I don't. I think it's a lovely thing to do, and we don't. There are not many things we do as a family now, and I wanted this book to be a kind of a calm thing to do, without too much technology, without screens, and just with music and nice drawings, and the opportunity to discuss things together as, you know, with a mother. I mean, you have kids. It's the kind of book I hope you could read for 10 minutes with them before going to bed, for example.
No puedo evitar dejar de mirar hacia ese lado, lo siento, es que hay un bebé.
I'm sorry, but I can't help but looking that way. There's a wonderful baby there. And you're talking about family and about doing things together with your family. And that baby is there listening, probably, paying a lot of attention with their parents. I'm sure his mom played this playlist for him. What would you recommend to her? A young mom with a baby? What would you recommend among the 10 songs in the book?
Sleep more than anything else.
A ella, no al bebé.
To her, right? Not to the baby.
I think just having music all the time in the house is a lovely thing. It's so easy now to listen to music. We can listen to it for free 24 hours a day with Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, and there are so many playlists with classical music in particular. And it's not that classical music it's not better than other types of music. It's really not. No, I don't think it is. I would never say that Bach is somehow better than or more worthy than Estopa or Extremadura, or I wouldn't, because
¿Son compatibles?
It's whatever you enjoy. And the idea though is people, when we think of classical music, we tend to think it belongs to other people. It's not for us. And so, if there's a baby in the house, just having music on, and often they react in the most amazing way. Sometimes they stop crying, sometimes they go to sleep, like in my concerts. It's like the audience.
No ha contestado mucho, ¿eh? Yo creo que es el momento de hacerle un grito.
Well, he didn't really answer to my question. You didn't recommend a song. I think it's time for our grilling.
The song from the book.
Yeah?
The overture to the marriage of Figaro, La Boda de Figaro, because it's really just a very happy piece of music and full of energy. It's such a cute baby. Oh. Wow.
En el libro has elegido a 7 autores.
In the book, you chose 7 musicians. We are in the 21st century, although some days it doesn't seem so. And we are living in an age when after March the 8th, a couple of years ago, feminism is very important, is playing a very important role. Some people still understand this with positive nuance, but well, this book, you say in the introduction, the age, the times when these musicians were born, there was not much space for women, right? And actually all of them are men.
Very sadly. I mean, it is changing now, but it was, as you can imagine, back then, it was very, very difficult. There were quite successful female musicians, like Schumann was an amazing composer, but his wife was an even better composer and a better pianist than him. Clara Schumann, and she had a career as a pianist, but not as a composer. They weren't allowed, and luckily now that's changing. But they're all kind of old white men with wigs, which is another reason it's so hard to be excited about classical music. And I guess I would say listen to the music, because a lot of these composers, they were not very nice people. They weren't. Chopin fue un poco racista y un poco gilipollas.
Chopin was racist and a bit of an asshole, actually. And some musicians are depressed all the time, and Schubert...
These are not people you would want to have coffee with. And but then you listen to the music, and it's like having Guernica on your wall just for you. You put in headphones and you just disappear into this world. And now more than ever with Trump, with Catalonia, with Brexit, we need an escape.
No me provoques, que te voy a preguntar, si no.
Don't tease me, or I'm going to ask you about that.
No, please don't ask me about that. You should talk about Catalonia. I would love to know what you think. Please.
No, please. ¿Cómo se...
how do you, what you were saying, how do you distinguish between the musician, the author, and their miserable life? Is it more easy to forgive that kind of things because of the times when they were living in? Would it be easier today to forgive?
It's a personal thing. It's not just with these guys. Like Harvey Weinstein, should we never watch a movie that he produced? Or Michael Jackson, should we never listen to his music anymore? Or it's a personal choice. Wagner, for example, was a composer who was like very anti-Semitic, hated Jews. And does that mean we should never listen to his music because Hitler loved his compositions too? I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, if we look at journalists, there are a lot of journalists who are very right-wing, and I just won't read anything that they write because I think, fuck them, I hate them. And maybe that's because I'm stupid or I'm short-sighted, but for me, this music is so good, it makes me forgive everything. And somehow music, it's like my best friend. And when you love someone so much, you can forgive them anything.
Lo cuentas aquí, sobre todo cuando te conocimos en España, a ti la música te salvó la vida.
It's like when we met you here and you said that music saved your life, right? And when you read this book, you see how many people with different circumstances, different lives, different miseries, they went through lives and those circumstances led them to music, actually, right? Since an author that used to walk 300, 400 miles all the way to a school where he could develop his talent. So like you were saying, people with important problems at home or in their life, and music saved them in a way, right?
I agree. But for everyone, I think anything creative saves us. Music saved me, but maybe it's photography or books. I mean, the amazing thing with music and with writing too is that you don't need to write books or play an instrument to be saved by it. You can just listen or read. You don't need to paint. You can just look at paintings. And I think it's one of the favorite things in my job is most Saturdays I'm with Javier Del Pino and La Ser, just for 30 minutes. And for 30 minutes in a talk radio station llena hasta el culo con políticos y chorrada.
Crowded with politicians and nonsense.
And Beethoven. And I get messages from like taxi drivers and abuelas and people, and they say they just stop and they just listen to music. And I think, to me, it's the best thing in the world because we all need an escape. And I think a lot of people, if you don't have the opportunity to listen to classical music, you're missing something enormous. And in schools here in Spain and in England and in Germany and in America, unless it's a private school with a lot of money, there is no music education. And so what happens now is we have an entire generation of children, and they leave school and they don't know what a cello sounds like, they don't know who Bach is, they don't know what an orchestra sounds like, and they don't see that there is a line from Bach all the way to Rosalia. And they should be taught that in school. They should leave school knowing that. And I think it's really sad, and unfortunately politicians will never give money to classical music because children can't vote, and so they don't really care about children. And I think that's something that has to change.
Has mencionado a Rosalía.
You mentioned Rosalía. In the book, you make an effort to connect with the people that the book is targeted at. You mention movies or places where they can listen to these musicians' music, or what artists have been inspired by them. So it's a kind of a signal so these people can be reflected or see themselves reflected in what you're telling.
A segregation. Classical music is always segregated. It's like it's up here, like it's high art, and everything else is down here. And you go to the Auditorio or Teatro Real, and people with their ties and their suits, and they sit like this, and it's such bullshit. There's so many rules. And why should we say that Rosalia is somehow cheaper than Beethoven, or you need to be more intelligent to understand Rachmaninoff than Estopa or Leva? It's rubbish. And so in the book I include musicians who I love, like Rosalia or even Justin Bieber. I mean, who cares? Music is everywhere. It's in television shows. Your husband's here. Yay. Hola. Why are you late? And it's in movies, it's in TV shows, and I wish it was more accessible.
Nos lo ha puesto muy fácil por esta interrupción.
You made it very easy with this interruption. So now I want to choose a song or a musician, a specific musician. But why did you choose these 7 musicians? And I heard that if it goes well, you're gonna have a second edition. I guess it's been hard to choose just 7.
Es como elegir tu hijo.
Yes, it's like picking your favorite son, right? It's very difficult. We have Bach, Beethoven, Liszt, Brahms, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, Schubert, Schumann, Ravel, Debussy, Mozart, Haydn.
And with each composer, Bach composed like 3,000 pieces of music. How do you choose 2 pieces? It's impossible. And so I chose 7 that, I mean, I could have easily chosen 70, but I chose 7, and it was a difficult choice, like Sophie's choice. And for each one, I chose 2 pieces. And some of the pieces are long. You know, I think we underestimate children a lot. Certainly in the United Kingdom, and maybe here as well. We tend to think of teenagers like they don't have long attention spans and they can't focus for a long period of time and they're very closed-minded. And my experience is the opposite, is that children are 10 times more open-minded than adults. And when I've played at Sonar Music Festival or rock music festivals, the audience, who have largely been teenagers, has been much more attentive than adults. And so there are pieces in here that are, 15 minutes long, because 15 minutes is kind of a medio episodio de Paquita Salas.
15 minutes is just half an episode of Paquita Salas. It's not that hard. I mean...
have 3 minutes. I mean, ¿por qué? It makes no sense at all. And so I chose pieces that I thought would be like I don't know how to translate this into Spanish, but like a gateway drug. Like, when you start and you smoke un porra, and then you get excited and you try something more and more and more strongly. And so you listen to a little bit of Bach, and then before you know it, you're listening to like 3 hours of Bach a day, and you can't stop listening. And so I hope this book is kind of like a gateway drug into classical music for people. And there's a lot of different styles. Like Chopin is so romantic, and Rachmaninoff is so romantic. And Bach is quite kind of mathematical, romantic, but also mathematical. And the other composers in there, some of them are intense, some of them are... You have lots of different kind of things. So maybe you hate Bach, but you love Rachmaninoff, or you really like Beethoven, but you hate Chopin. And then with Spotify, you can explore and you can listen to other composers and recommendations.
Hay mucha gente aquí viéndonos también por el...
There are many people also watching us on streaming. And I don't know if you realized that you opened a gateway with your book, with a way of being. You opened a door to a younger generation, but I don't know if maybe you closed the door to another generation that you were mentioning, older ones with wearing a tie, that doesn't allow for new things to surprise them.
The Auditorio Nacional, and there's that audience. And And that's fine. And I will be in that audience. And that audience, I think, will always exist. But that audience is kind of 0.5% of the whole public. And I'm much more interested in the other 99.5% of people who maybe they want to know a bit more about classical music, but they're not quite sure where to start. And what they are offered when they look in these things like the 50 best chill-out classics ever. And I hate, why? These 2-3 minute little pieces of the famous commercials, and I want people to listen to a whole Beethoven symphony or a whole opera of Mozart, even if it's 40 minutes long or 3 hours long, because just maybe, like you say, it opens a door that can change your life. Imagine if you'd never seen a Picasso painting in your whole life, and suddenly someone took you to a museum filled with his paintings and walked you around and showed you them. It would be, how amazing to experience that for the first time. And I hope in a small way this can do the same thing with a genre of music that's quite closed off, you know?
¿Cuánto tiempo has tardado en hacerlo? Más o menos.
How long did it take to write it? To write the book?
Yeah.
Very, very, very long time. Hours and hours and hours.
Eso no es mucho.
That's not a lot.
Long time. It's very hard to write short books.
Yeah.
Es mucho más fácil escribir.
It's so much easier writing thousands and thousands and thousands of words.
7,000 palabras, algo como eso, es muy difícil.
I think it's 7,000 words. That's more difficult.
Actually. An instrumental is a much longer book.
¿Más?
Yes, it took longer to write this than instrumental. Because this is like writing about my baby. It's I've got to be so careful with how I write.
Más que el primero, sí, más que
Sí.
instrumental.
More than the first one? More than instrumental?
Sí.
Has mencionado varias.
You mentioned several times artists, Spanish groups, Spanish artists. What's your playlist? You mentioned Stopa, Leiva. I don't know if you have to tell people what you listen to in your cell phone. What would you? Well, I actually created a list, a Spotify list with Spanish music with Serrat, Stopa, Rosalía.
What I mean with this book, when I came to Spain, I had no idea who Robe and Iniesta was. I had no idea who Serrat was. Can you imagine?
No?
No. Because I lived in London and I listened to Bach and Beethoven all the time and maybe Mick Jagger, but no one else. And then I came here and I started to hear new music for the first time, and it's such a gift to be able to experience that for the first time. Imagine never having heard Serrat, and then being able, when you're in your 40s, you're obviously in your 30s, but for me in my 40s, to be able to listen to Serrat for the first time, it's incredible.
¿Cómo va lo del pasaporte?
How is it going with your passport?
I started the process. I've got my NIE, I've got my padrón, and I've got all the paperwork, and now I just have to wait.
Están un poco liados en el gobierno ahora.
Well, they're a little busy in the administration right now, so... Oh, really? I'm a little upset, actually, with this soccer player in Barcelona. He got his passport in 2 weeks? What the hell? And for the piano player? Nothing. Well,
I'll do anything. I'll have dinner with Santiago Abascal if I can get a passport.
¿Seguro?
No. No. Claro que no.
not really. Well, let's focus on the difficult things now. I'm gonna tell you a situation, a person, and you will answer with a composer, with a musician, or a song, okay? You just mentioned one, so I'm gonna start with him, Santiago Abascal.
No, demasiadas palabrotas para esto.
Too many cursing words for this. I don't want to. No, he's a monster. Well, I'll start with the foreign world. Brexit. If I say Brexit, what comes to your mind?
O Boris, no sé.
Ay.
Johnson.
Or Boris.
Unos pocos y
That's even worse. No, please. At least there's been an agreement, right? No, Pascal, Brexit, just kill me. Just kill me.
England. I mean, this is why I'm in Madrid. It's
O sea, no te has arrepentido de querer el pasaporte español. En realidad es...
So you don't regret about wanting to have the Spanish passport, right? You still want it.
the Spanish passport. I will cry the entire day. I genuinely want to rip my English passport up and I'll change my name to Jaimito. I don't care. I want to be un gato, un madrileño.
Gato.
I want to really be from Madrid.
This is what I want. From the first moment I moved here. And I can't explain it except to say that por la primera vez en mi vida
It's the first time ever that I feel that I'm at home. For the first time in my life.
After 42 years of wandering around, that's an incredible feeling. And we're moving, I've got a lovely girlfriend, we're moving to a lovely apartment in Chamberí. The food, the weather, the people, everything is better than England. It just is. The theatre, that people smile on the metro. Fuck, you've been to London?
Yeah.
Have you been on the tube, the metro in London? Can you imagine smiling at someone on the tube? Like you'll be arrested or stabbed and here, we were I had to go to the doctor. I'm fine, but I had to go to the doctor. And this old couple walked in and they said, "Buenos dias," and everyone waiting said, "Buenos dias." And I was like, what the fuck is this? In London, people are just don't talk to anyone, tanto calidez aquí.
People are so cozy here.
I want to talk about Brexit. I don't want to talk about my madre murió hace
My mom passed away 4 weeks ago.
than now. Nothing. I want my life to be here, which means I want a fucking passport and I want to buy an apartment and I'm here and the dream maybe if you all buy enough books is maybe I get a little apartment in San Sebastián as well on the sea. Can you imagine? Oh, qué lujo.
No es mal sitio, ¿no?
No.
Not a bad place. Not a bad place. So before the questions, we are almost there. I'm sure that the audience has many questions. You've picked up 7 persons, 7 men. I think that the selection within the authors has been real difficult too. Because you said that to pick up the authors has been real difficult, but I guess that you have some preferred works. So you said that you were speaking about writing and condensing.
Favorite songs and our favorite pieces, and I also with classical music, it's not just the compositions, it's the performers, which pianist to choose, which orchestra, which conductor. I couldn't write about Bach and the cello suites. Look, do you like my air cello? That's good. Without writing about Pablo Casals, who was one of the greatest cellists who ever lived. And in Spain, I'm sure people know Casals, but they know, I would say, Messi much more than Casals. Or Alicia de la Rocha. She should be a household name here in Spain, and she isn't. Or any of the young Spanish pianists, Javier. Wait, I got him on my Perianes. Javier Perianes. He's one of the greatest living pianists. And, these guys, they work so hard and they train so hard and they spend years and years and years and they have this life of just intense study. they should be every bit as, in my perfect world, as famous and successful as futbolistas, and they should be given passports too, I think.
Abrimos.
So let's open the Q&A session.
About the book, sobre cualquier cosa. Para mí o...
For me and for Anna, okay? Not only for me. He's the protagonist. There's one good question here. I'm sorry, we can't hear the question without the mic. Okay. Hello. Well, rather than a question, I would like to make a couple of remarks. First of all, I've loved that you've talked about Clara Schumann. And I would like to add something. She composed some pieces, quite a few, but they were very few because she wrote in her log a terrible text. She said that at some time I touched the dream of composing, but as any other woman had done so, how was I going to accomplish it? And that made her silent. And the tragic thing is that there is in history many composer women that are being known right now from the medieval times, like Hildegard de Gilte, or I mean the patriarchal historian, so to speak, removed from history and from the memories. Even during Clara Schumann's life in Europe, there were many composers that were women that were not going beyond their borders. I think that that's quite tragic. How women have been forgotten, that makes women silent. And I just wanted to say that I love you. I love you as a writer. I've read absolutely everything. I'm starting with this one. I think that you have a great writing skill. You are really good at writing. You have passion and compassion. And you're addictive. I mean, what you've said is very good. What you've said about drug is very good, because you are addictive. And I wanted to say that I've just started this book, but it's not only for children. It's for everybody, and I encourage everybody to read it. And well, last but not least, I think that this dimension that you're acquiring in terms of music speaker, if you want, is quite curious. I mean, there are not many people that can catch up, and I think that you can do many things with this part of your life in terms of music.
Rosa fucking Montero. I mean, come on.
Exacto, es Rosa Montero, o sea, no es...
Ay, gracias. Wow.
Rosa Montero te dice que escribes muy bien, o sea, ya puedes retirar.
Rosa Montero says that you write very good. You can retire if you want.
The front of the book.
Absolutely. No era pregunta, pero no sé si...
It was not a question, but I don't know if you want to add anything about women, about how they are not only silenced by men, but just that I totally agree with you. And it's really disgusting. Fanny Mendelssohn, Clara Schumann. Now we have some recordings of these women composers.
It feels like we've lost hundreds of years, and it's such a shame. And they couldn't be like writers. They couldn't use fake names to hide the fact that they were female. And it's a real shame. But now there are more and more, and especially with musicians. There are, I mean, Marta Argerich and Alicia de la Rocha and the cellists. I mean, they're some of the greatest musicians in the world are all female, and they're playing all around the world, and that's amazing. And orchestras too. Do you remember? I mean, even until I think 5 years ago, the Vienna Philharmonic wouldn't allow women. What the fuck? Insane. And now that's happening. So times slowly changing. Thank God.
Más preguntas por aquí.
More questions.
Tampoco es una pregunta, pero es un agradecimiento.
It's not a question. I just wanted to say thank you for the concert at the Auditorio Nacional. When you explained your personal situation, I understood why it was such an emotional and a passionate concert. I just wanted to say thank you 1 in a million times.
That was an amazing experience. Mi madre murió el lunes.
My mom died on Monday, and the funeral was in Wednesday, and the concert was on Friday. I was absolutely exhausted.
When I saw her the day before she died, because she was sick, she was very sick, and she said, mothers are always the same, you know, she said, if you cancel this concert on Friday, I will be a very unhappy mother. And I was like, okay, Mum, I'll do the concert. And I mean, as you know, you were there, and I mean, I've never ever experienced so much warmth from an audience in any concert ever. And it's things like that. I was walking to the auditorium, which was 10 minutes from my home, and I had a moment where I felt, how did I end up here? Going to the auditorium sold out, where the average age of the audience was maybe 26, 27 years old. And I knew my mum would be watching in a way. And it just felt, I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. And considering I always thought I would be dead before the age of 30, I didn't expect, and now suddenly I'm here with this, and it's como un sueño, de verdad.
It's like a dream. It's really a dream.
I'm never leaving Madrid, man. I'm not. And I'm staying here for good. But thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Gracias, tío. There's a little girl over there.
Another one. ¿Tiene una pregunta? Bueno, vamos por aquí primero.
Well, let's get here before. Hello, good afternoon. Well, good evening. Do you have any superstition or any habit before a concert?
Mirando a mi novia. Pobrecita.
Que se ríe mucho.
Oh, my girlfriend's laughing.
Te lo juro. But they won't work. Yes. Sí, I mean, me siento como un bicho raro.
I feel like a weird guy sometimes.
Have to be lined up on my on the table. So my pen, my wallet, my phone, my packet of cigarettes, my lighter, everything exactly. Don't look at me like that. This is just, he asked the question. This is just, and I feel so embarrassed.
James. Ferreras hace lo mismo, ¿eh?
No.
Oh, Ferreras does the same.
Tiene sus toques.
Everybody, yeah, well, he won't tell you, but he does it.
Los bolis.
And the light, los bolis, and
las
the light
tazas,
switch, and
las manos.
He is my brother. Oh, thank you. You're my twin soul.
Yes. It's a strange thing. Yes. But I'm so scared to not do it. Because I think if I don't do it, but not just with music, I do it all the time. I do it every day at home and with lots of different things. That's, it's my way of trying, quiero controlar todo en mi vida.
I want to control everything in my life, and obviously I can't. So things that I can't control.
So I feel very bad for my girlfriend. I'm sorry, Mickey. Soy quien soy.
I am who I am. What can I do? Shall I kill myself? There's a question at the back. You have a question? Oh, I can't believe it. What's your name? Noah. Please stand up. We want to see you. Sorry for my swear words, okay? How old are you, Noah? 9. Come on. Why did you choose classical music?
Jen.
No entienden.
I chose classical music. You know what? It feels like classical music chose me. Like when I was about your age, un poco más pequeño,
When I was like 7 years old.
you won't know what this is, a cassette tape. Oh. And I found a piece of classical music and I listened to it. And it was a bit like, do you like Harry Potter? Yeah, it was like reading Harry Potter for the first time for me. I was like completamente enamorada.
I was totally in love with this music. It was the first time in my life. It was a new world for me.
Emocionada.
I was so excited. It was a way of going out of everything, of escaping from everything.
Moment that all I wanted to do was devote my life to classical music. And so I didn't really have a choice. Like if you read a Harry Potter book and then suddenly you ended up in Hogwarts with an invisibility cloak, you would be a wizard, wouldn't you? You wouldn't say, no, I'm not going to do that. You would do it. And it was the same thing for me with music. I had to do it. I had to do it. And I still do. And, but I listen to other music too. What music, ¿qué música te gusta?
What music do you like? Don't know.
Gracias, Noah.
Vale, gracias por tu pregunta.
Thank you, Noah. Thanks for your question.
¿Me la puedo llevar a hacer entrevistas? Es un-
Can I take her to make interviews? Is your mom around? Can I take her to make interviews? I think that she asks better questions than me. Okay, so more questions after Noah's. We are at a very top level. I don't know if maybe you're thinking about a question. Well, James will sign his book at the back. James will go there, and you can go there to sign his books. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Hello, good afternoon, James. What happens if you don't get the passport?
I've spoken with my lawyer and my accountant, and creo que estoy seguro.
And I think that I'm safe. Because
Tax in Spain. And I have my NIE. Oh God, what if they're wrong? I think I can chain myself to Moncloa. Like, oye, Sanchez, por favor.
Pray for James.
Yes, pray for James. I think with Brexit, I hope I'll be okay. Otherwise, maybe what's the petition? Change.org. Maybe I'll start a petition to, like, I'll give free concerts in Spain for a year if I get a passport. It would be the worst thing. Imagine, lived here for 2 years, and imagine then being told you have to go back to London. It would kill me. No. Maybe I'd go to Argentina. It's un poco chaotico ahí.
a little bit chaotic there. Well, we're starting to be quite similar.
I hope so. But I think you have to wait 5 years for a passport. So I have a bit longer to wait.
3 años más.
3 more years. I hope you're lucky. Hello, good evening. I would like to know what you think about the initiatives are being developed, like pianists, like for example Lang Lang, that has his own foundation, and he's trying to spread his method, if you want, so that children can learn how to play the piano. And I know this case, I don't know if you know other cases, and what do you think about this promotion of classical music? And something for the sake of curiosity, I followed you during your stay in Spain, but I really don't know that the influence you have here in Spain with people, how much people love you. I have no idea if you have had some impact in your country, if people know you, if you spread classical music among young people as you do here. In London. In England. I don't give a fuck.
Yes, I mean, Hizo televisión y escribí por el Guardian en Londres y conciertos y todo, pero
Well, I've played some concerts, etc.
I don't want to play in London. I want to play in Madrid and Barcelona and San Sebastian and Bilbao and Vitoria and Valencia and all of these amazing places here. It's very nice that you say people like me here. I feel very loved and very lucky to be in Spain. Vox supporters don't like me very much, but that's fine. They can't read anyway, so they can't read my books. The way music is promoted, the music education. I'll tell you something. Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Oh fuck it. I'll tell you anyway. A while ago, I wanted to set up a scholarship for one of the big conservatories in Spain, and I won't say which one. And it was quite a lot of money, and it would be for 5 years, and I would pay it for myself, and it would be enough money to study and live for a year for 2 people every year in one of the best music conservatories in Spain. And they would then come on La Serre with me, and I would help organize concerts, and I would help, promote. And they wouldn't do it. The conservatory. They stopped responding to my emails. They said, well, maybe in a year we can think about it. And it's very frustrating because their reasoning is that, well, no, this isn't how we do it. And we do things in a certain way, and we have competitions, and basically we don't want some Giri in jeans coming and saying we want people, giving money to students who haven't been chosen by our teachers. And I understand that, but I also think that's a real shame, because it would be, Spanish musicians playing a lot of great Spanish classical music and in lovely concert halls in Spain, and bringing music to a bigger public. And I think if it's at the stage where I'm offering to give money to classical music and people are saying, no, we don't want it, something isn't right. And I don't know what the answer is. I think, and I get this all the time on social media. I mean, people saying things like, you don't deserve to play in the Auditorio Nacional. There are much, much better pianists at the conservatory who should play at the Palau de la Música or Auditorio Nacional. You shouldn't play there. You're a terrible pianist. And in a way, they're right. I mean, they're much better pianists than me. I've always said that. But I think it's about, if you find something that you love so much and you want to share it and you want to talk about it and you want to offer it to people, I think we should all have the opportunity to do that. And classical music is like the last genre of the arts that needs to change, and they're fighting so hard to not change, because classical music, they want rich audiences, they want people to sit like they're in a fucking church, like this, and they can't make any noise, and they have to understand what a cadenza is and how many movements there are in a symphony, and all of that. I find it's so irrelevant, and it's so, I mean, if Chopin came to a concert today, he would fall over laughing. He would just look and go, are you serious? Are you, like, what are you wearing? Why are you, no one's doing anything. And I think it's a real shame. Because as part of the scholarship I was setting up, I said to them, it's not just about technique. I want the people playing who are competing, I want them to talk about the piece they're going to play for 3 minutes and introduce it. Because I think that's normal now. And they wouldn't do it. They said, oh, well, the teachers won't like that. And I was like, I don't care. Like, the audience would love that. Imagine if you saw Marta Argerich. And she came on stage and she said, I'm going to play you this piece by Liszt. Oh my fucking God, it's difficult. He asks you to do this with his hands. And she talks a bit about the octaves and what Liszt was doing when he wrote it, and just for a couple of minutes, and then she played it. To me, that's much more exciting than a pianist coming on stage, playing, and then going home and not saying a word. And so I think there's a lot of work to do, not just in Spain, but in every country.
De hecho, no me acuerdo ahora cómo se llama.
In fact, I don't remember this TV show. This one that was from Ramon. He was an opera singer. This is Opera, I think it was called. He did this. He tried to make opera popular, telling the stories around about the composer, why he composed that. And I think that within TV2, this TV channel, it was quite good. And now he has This Is Art. I think it's a TV show. And I think that this line is starting to emerge so that people can understand what is behind.
Great, like when I'm on Leitmotiv with Buenafuente playing Schumann, or on Chester playing Rachmaninoff, it's not, cut. It's like a whole 5-minute piece. For me, that's on La Serre as well. I think it's really cool. And we need more of that. We need a lot more of that.
Está bien que menciones la tele, que a veces es...
It's good that you mentioned TV, which is so ruined now. We've been in primetime show in La Sexta. Yeah, it's the best TV channel in the world. Yes, but he was there playing on a Saturday night, live. Any other questions? You can start getting ready for the signing of the books. Yes, I wanted to ask whether you know any groups, any bands that are fusioning, mixing classical music with other styles, and what's your opinion about that?
Now, I know that it has been used in music, in rock music. I know Muse and Matt Bellamy, for example, is a huge fan of classical music. But no, I don't know any yet. I'm dying. I would love to do a collaboration. And I've spoken about it with her, with Rosalia, because I think it would be really cool. A bit of flamenco, a bit of classical, why not? I think it could be really fun.
¿Vamos a verte con Rosalía? ¿Sí?
We're gonna see you with Rosalia?
I mean, she's like
Se me
taking
ocurre
over
un
the
canal
world.
en el que sería maravilloso.
Can you imagine?
veros-
I can think of a station where it would be great to listen to you together.
Serrat, hace 2 años en Barcelona, and that was really
2 years ago in Barcelona.
songs, and I think it was lovely. But music is music. It's all made up of the same 12 tones. It's except reggaeton. Sorry, it's just fucking horrible. But I'm open-minded to all music. I think we should all listen to it and treat it the same.
Gracias. Hay por aquí, en una noche...
Yes, we're gonna break with stereotypes. The person who's gonna ask you is a basketball player, a star. Hello, nice to meet you. I wanted to ask you if you like zarzuela, and what's your opinion? Zarzuela, if you like zarzuela.
We were talking about this the other day. I don't know it enough to go. I want to go and see it. I think it's a real experience. They have clubs, no? Where you can go. It's like super underground, no?
No.
No?
The Spanish opera.
Zarzuela, Spanish, similar to opera.
Para ti.
I just opened a new gateway for you.
So it's like an operetta.
It's Spanish opera. A veces hablan, pero tiene áreas muy buenas.
Sometimes they sing, sometimes they have little scenes, they talk, but very dramatic? No, not necessarily. That's very cool. Well, composers. Well, it's like the opera, like the people's opera. Alfredo Kraus or Plácido Domingo have sung zarzuela.
So that's my go, not just a random stranger. Let's go. Yes, I'd love to go. Thank you.
Y es muy española, por eso te lo...
It's very Spanish, it's very typical from Spain. That's why I was asking you.
Ahí hay una más y ya hacemos la firma.
Vale.
Yes, one more question and we'll go to sign the books. Yes, I would like to know 2 little things. First, what happened, or what initiative would you take to make classical music popular in Spain? And I'm sure this book is going to be a success. What would be the next step to playlist, after playlist?
I think I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing with music. So playing in, not just in classical venues, but Jardins del Botanico or Starlight in the poshest festival in the world. So, oh my God.
Marbella.
Tanto pasta, Dios mío.
So much money.
And La Serre and television. I hope there's going to be some really cool TV stuff next year. And they're making a movie of my first book, instrumental. They're shooting next year, and it's quite a big movie. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of classical music in that. And I wrote to the director a few weeks ago, and I gave him a list of 4 Spanish actors, and I'm like, 2 of them have to be in the film, motherfucker. You better put them in. And because I want to include as many people as possible, and that's going to have a big impact, I hope, in introducing a lot more people to classical music. And the next step for this is, if you read it and you like it, it's so easy to explore more now. We have so much information available to us with our mobile phones and our computers, and maybe you'll go to a concert if you enjoy it. Maybe you'll look at the Auditorio Nacional and you'll find a great piano recital, or Marta Argerich will come and play, or Josep Colom, or Juan Diego Florestan will sing, or there'll be things that you can go to and explore. And maybe I'll write another 7 composers after this. Maybe I should write one about female composers, about Fanny Mendelssohn and Clara Schumann and Hildegard von Bingen, and that would be super awesome, because they were like, can you imagine what it took to be a composer and a woman in that time? You had to have con dos huevos, no? Really.
Really, it takes a lot of courage. It must have taken a lot of courage for them. Yeah, it would be a great book. I would buy it for sure. Thank you. Well, thank you. We hope that you had as much fun as we did. The baby is asleep. I hope the rest didn't fall asleep. Oh, that's so sweet. There's someone there who looks like she's begging for a question. And yeah, sure. Good evening. Well, I got to know you with an interview that you had with Jordi Ebola in Salvados, and then with your book, Instrumental, you just mentioned it, and back there you told us about your childhood, and I know that your message is always very direct, even a little aggressive when you talk about child abuse, sexual abuse. And I would like to know if you have in mind, creating a more solid project to help children who have gone through this kind of abuse. And about your music, I just want to tell you that I'm a yoga teacher, and I play your music in my class very often because I think that it really helps you feel calm, and I wanted to tell you.
Yeah, I have a very specific in mind, and I've been working on it for 1 year with Save the Children and with Pedro Sanchez, and a new law for the protection of children, and it's such a strong law. It will make Spain the #1 country in the world for the protection of children. And it was so close to going to Congress, and then there were problems with Catalonia, and the budget wasn't approved, and so it was put on hold. And now, honestly, we don't know who's going to be president in 3 months. And so it's delaying, and it's incredibly frustrating because it's not a difficult law to pass. It's not expensive. It's not complicated, and it does work. But as soon as the elections have happened, and as soon as I know who is in Moncloa, I will be doing I mean, it will be the most important thing. It'll be more important than any book or any concert or anything. And I'm getting everything ready so that when that happens, we can bang on the door to Moncloa and put a gun to their head and say, sign the fucking law now. And I think it will, because I can't imagine a politician saying we shouldn't protect children in this country, no matter who you vote for. And I'm not, you know I joke about the far right. I'm not with any party. I'm not with Rivera or Sanchez or PP. I'm with the Children's Party. That's all I care about, is that children in Spain, which is now where my home is that they're safe as they can be, and that they're protected, and that when horrible things happen, like happened to me, or like happened in the Catholic Church or Maristas in Barcelona, the perpetrators are put in prison, and the victims are offered counseling and support, and the families are offered support. And this new law will help achieve that. So I hope within 1 year it will be in front of Congress and it will be a new law. Fingers crossed. So, good. Cool. Gracias.
Thank you. Yes, I hope we will get there, and I hope we will have you here telling us about it. So he will go there and you can go get your book signed.